afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Beyond the Bell. It is Monday. It is March 4th, 2024. It is 60 seconds after the bell, which means it's time to go beyond the bell. I just need to exhale after a day like today, right? I'll get into that in a minute. I'll get into my day, what happened. But just a reminder, Beyond the Bell is, as always, brought to you by our good friends over at the Blue Sky Trading Company for the clearest path to a live brokerage account. Live trading with Mike every day in the Discord. And this wonderful show, we've got everything you need right here at bluesky.pro. So, today there are many days. There are many kinds of days in the markets, and today certainly was one of them. So we're going to get to our lesson of the day momentarily. I had a losing day today. I don't have a ton of those. Maybe... I don't even remember how many last year, probably 30-ish, 30, 35. Now, a lot of break-even days. I count anything under between $0 and $500 a break-even day for me. So for me to consider like a winning day, it's got to be over $500 in profit. So, I break things down a little differently than most. I have winning days, break-even days, and losing days. And it's probably actually a pretty harsh grading system, right? Because if I make $499, it's a break-even day. If I lose $2, it's a red day. And I find that actually helpful because it gives me a little better understanding of how my trading's going, right? Because I could have, especially when I first started trading futures, I had a number of days where I'd make 8 to 10 trades, and I'd be plus $110 on the day after commissions. And okay, green days are green days, right? When you have more money in your account, be it an eval, blue live brokerage, personal account, whatever the case may be, than you did when you started, that's not a bad day inherently. But to really truly build an account, to really truly build wealth, you need to be having, plus 800, plus 900, plus 1400, et cetera, over months, weeks, months, years, et cetera. So I grade myself a little harsher than most, but that's okay. That's just the mentality that I need to be consistently profitable. So before we get into what happened to me today and how I'm going to evaluate things going into tomorrow, let's go ahead and talk about the big picture as we get here in the ES. And I knew I forgot something in my prep. Forgot to pull up my drawing tools, so give me just a second there. But as you can see here, this last candle, which has just 55 minutes left in it, has a nice long selling tail here, right? We tried to rally up. We did rally up above 51.50. Couldn't hold that. Now, the candle's not closed, so we're not making any snap judgments until this particular future session is done. Nice kind of tight flag pattern here up at the top after this long buying candle, which broke out to new highs last week. So again, what's our analysis? Well, before we do that, let's go take a look at the NQ. It's a little bit of a clearer picture on the NQ. For me, this is just how I am right now, right? As we are getting ready to close today's trading session, and obviously we have the Asian Open, we have the European Open, but I would tend to think we're gonna, all things being equal, right? So no major news, no Fed guy running at the mouth. I think we're gonna go retest this zone down here at 18,000. It feels like we just haven't been able to break too far above it, right? The 300 points above 18,000, that's great. But we really struggle to kind of hold that area. And as we break below 250 here, especially I think if we open up a little lower in the Asian and European sessions, I would like to see us do, and that would sort of make this pattern a long-term break, retest, and go, which for me is a very strong pattern, right? Where an area is broken, it's retested, it's confirmed, right? It's just not, when you just charge through a level, it can be a very... let's just say it's hard to confirm a lot of that action, but when an area is broken, the price action retests it and confirms what I call a break, retest, and go. It's one of my favorite patterns, right? And that doesn't mean it's actionable. It doesn't mean I'm trading it, but it helps me, form my 10,000-foot view, helps form my thesis as we go from there. Now, if we were to break above 400, I don't think we're headed back down to this level for quite some time. So this is sort of 400, sort of the line in the sand that I think if we get above it, barring, again, all things being equal, some sort of news, I think we can run into some really bullish sentiment as we move. I am bullish in my sort of intermediate to long-term thesis, guys. I would like to see this 18,000 area really strongly confirmed, because this is the first time we've broken significantly above it, right? Sort of a long-term area where we really couldn't get any momentum, strong momentum down or up, right? And then over the course of about 24 hours, we pushed very strongly up here. So for me, I want to see it doesn't have to get all the way down to 18,000, right? If we get down below 18,100 and then strongly push up, that's a very bullish sentiment for me. And until we get to options expiration, FOMC, or any of those things that moves the markets. But when we look at today on an individual basis, and I want to pull up the NQ here. And you see, we had a very strong breakdown in the last half hour, right? But prior to that, we had very low ATR, average true range. Our standard deviation width, which is the distance between VWAP and +1 standard deviation, or +1 standard deviation and +2 standard deviation, was just, to be honest, guys, crap. And this white line signifies the New York Open, right? So 9:30 Eastern. Look at the first hour of price action here. Steve Neeson is one that's always going to tell you guys, don't ignore candle shadows, candle wicks, whatever you want to call them. And look at all these buying tails, selling tails. So what is all this? What does all this really mean, right? And I could sit here and I could do this all day. Be a nice way to fill 30 minutes, right? What does this mean? This means this is complete indecision on part of the markets, right? This is the markets with the shrug. You can't really see me, but the shruggy emoji, right? Like we don't effing know, right? We don't know if we want to break out, break down. This 18,300 level was key all day. We just kept coming back to it, right? Kept coming back to it. We broke down below, kept coming back to it. Broke out above, kept coming back to it. Now we're back below. So this is, again, on the 10,000 foot view, 18,000, to 18,000 or above 18,400 is our key macro areas. But here on sort of the little ground level view, 18,300 continues to kind of be a magnet, although this is as far away from it as we've been today. So it'll be interesting to see when we reopen the markets here in a couple of hours how the price action responds between now and moving into the Asian Open. So that's kind of the big picture, guys. Not a lot really for me personally today. I didn't trade much after about the first hour, and I think that leads kind of into our lesson of the day. So I'm going to bring the chart back up here momentarily to just kind of look at this, because this was the first hour of price action, right? So let's do the first 90 minutes. I think that's a little more representative, right? So in this initial 90 minutes, okay, so from 9:30 Eastern to 11 o'clock Eastern, or 8:30 to 10 for those of you in a normal time zone, this is basically the only definitive price action, these two candles. And even these, we went from about 18,290 up to 324, so about a 35 point range, which is, I mean, the NQ, if somebody if a market maker sneezes, the NQ moves 30 points, right? So that's not really indicative of a larger move. So when this is the biggest move over the course of 90 minutes, it's just a garbage trading day, right? It's just for momentum traders, right? Maybe some of you scalpers find some things in here. But again, none of these candles give you any sort of direction or any sort of indication of where the next move's going to be. We're below VWAP, so I guess if you wanted to kind of have a bearish thesis or a bearish mentality for the day, but really point to me before the last half hour, guys, point to me the big bearish move on the chart. There's just none. Point to me the big bullish move on the chart. There's none, right? So the title today, guys, and I sometimes I send in my titles, when I have something particular I want to talk about to our good friends, our good friends Josh, Raj, and Ash are back in the home office in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and we, here's the title. So today, guys, is how a professional trader handles a losing day. Okay, and first of all, professional trader. I know it's you see that on other YouTubes. Usually the YouTube. The ones where they have a chart in the background and you have the thumbnail of the trader that's like, has the wide open expression and like the Home Alone face and all that garbage. I'm not going to make it because I know the guys, back in our home office will screen cap that, and then it'll end up on every video I do going forward. So you're not going to get me to do it. But you know what I'm, and so they'll talk about, how a pro trader does this, pro trader does that. And the thing with calling yourself, someone else, this person, that person, a professional trader, right? There's no gatekeeping for that, right? Technically speaking, guys, if you trade, if you're aiming to trade for a living, if you want to refer to yourself as a professional trader, by all means, right? It's not like, I can't call myself a professional baseball player because I don't play professional baseball, right? I topped out in high school. So, but to be a professional trader means you're working towards, or you are trading for a living. That's how I define it. How you define it is completely up to you. Now, but how does somebody who is in that category, how do you handle losing days? Well, when you're first trading, losing days are early and often, right? You're kind of forced to learn how to deal with them, because if you don't, you won't be in this game for very long, right? So, but once you get pretty consistently profitable, you're still going to have some red days. And guys, the hardest, on the path from losing money on a very consistent basis to making money on a very consistent basis, that last step, guys, honestly is the most difficult. Okay, it is difficult to go from losing money almost every day to being, inconsistently profitable, being basically a break-even trader over, several weeks or months or whatever the case may be. And that's difficult. But to get from that point where you're not losing much money at all, in fact, maybe you're even making some money, right? To inconsistently making money, to consistently on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, year-to-year basis making money, that last step is the most difficult. And so those are where some of the lessons come in, right? Where, okay, you took yourself from consistently, sometimes going from losing money every day to just being break-even most days is a matter of just a couple of steps, right? Not oversizing, cutting your trades down from 20 a day to 5 a day, only trading 1 or 2 setups, right? These are the types of things that we can do to, I kind of lost my train of thought there, but you guys, you guys understand what I'm saying. All right. So what are the things that I do? Like when I, excuse me just a second here, guys. So when I go back upstairs, so I'm downstairs, I'm in my studio here. When I go upstairs and I do my journal and I make my notes, and for the first time in several weeks, I'm going to make a note in my private trading journal, right? There's the trading journal that I put in all my trades. I do, whatever. I use Trader Sync for that. And then there's another notebook that I have that if something kind of weird or extraordinary happens that day, could be good, could be bad. I could have a day where instead of being plus 2,500, I'm plus 5,000, or a day like today where I finish red, I'm going to make an entry and just say, okay, what happened today? Okay, and there's 3 questions I'm going to ask myself, right? So the first question is, I want to know why, right? I want to know why I lost money today when most days I make money. And so there's 3 specific areas that I'm going to look at and 3 specific questions I'm going to ask. The first one is, was the market just not conducive to trading today, or my style of trading? Again, I'm a day trader, right? I'm in and out of positions mostly within 5 to 10 minutes over the course of from 9:30 Eastern to 4 Eastern until I do this show. And I don't trade a whole lot in the afternoons, right? And so I refer to myself more as an intraday swing trader, right? I'm not looking for 80 or 100 trades. I'm looking for something very specific, a very specific checklist leading to a trigger, leading to a stop loss or a profit target, right? It's very, very systematic. It's very mechanical. And so, I'm not just buying because I think something's going to go up or selling because I think it's going to go down. I'm very mechanical with what I do. So the first question I'm going to ask, were the markets just not conducive to my trading today? The second question I'm going to ask is, did I make poor trades, or did I have poor trade management? Okay. And the third question is, am I in just not a good mental state to trade today, right? And so let me break those down one by one. And I'm going to take the last one first and work my way back up. So I will just say this, and I had this discussion with my community earlier today. I had a pretty crappy day yesterday. Just some outside stuff, just really kind of stuff that had to be dealt with. I don't want to get into it. It's just it was a bad day, right? So what was supposed to be Sundays, Saturdays and Sundays, I try to really not do much trading, not do much work-wise, just really try to unwind. Because, guys, even when you're consistently successful in this business, it's a stressful game, right? To do this day in and day out, I don't care if you're trading for an hour a day, 5 hours a day, whether you're trading every day, every other day, 3 days a week, you trade a little bit when you can, when work and everything else doesn't interfere. This is stressful, right? The process of passing an eval and, getting into blue live or getting into brokerage. And then once you're in a brokerage, building up that padding so you can start to withdraw without worrying about blowing out the account, right? Or you have your own money and you're trading, and watching in very real time that account grow, shrink, whatever the case may be. It's very stressful. Okay, we need outlets to unwind, right? I fully subscribe to the work hard, play hard mentality. Now, when I say play hard, I'm not, I've never been like a club guy or go out and do, yeah, we gotta, I'm gonna drink 20 beer. No, that frat mentality, that just doesn't, that's not very compatible with trading. I would maybe redo that sentiment to work hard, relax hard. Okay, have at least some time on the weekends where you can have a few hours to just do what you want to do. Right, whether that's spending time with your family, maybe spending time with the spouse, kids, whatever the case may be, is de-stressing, or maybe you need to even just take an hour and not to be too trader cliche, but go play golf, or sometimes, guys, I just drive around for a half hour, blast some music, and just unwind a little bit, right? Whatever you need to do, and so when you have a situation where that is kind of denied to you, as it was to me this weekend, I had very hectic. Saturday was not a bad day, but it was very hectic for me. I had a lot of stuff going on, a lot of errands to run, a lot of things to do, a lot of people to see. And then Sunday, what was supposed to be a relaxing day, just blew up by 9 o'clock, right? So was my mental state not great this morning? Well, actually, when I sat down, I do kind of a little bit of a mental health check first thing in the morning. Did I get enough sleep? How's my caffeine intake? I don't drink much during the week, so I don't need to worry about sitting down hungover or anything like that. Am I awake? Am I alert? Am I feeling okay? And I actually was this morning. Right. And I've done this long enough that I know, and sometimes there's no reason for it, guys. Sometimes you just sit down, butt hits the seat, and it's just, I can't do this today. I'm just not there. And that's okay. Probably 4 to 5 times a year, guys, I will sit down. There's some days you do need to power through it when it's maybe something minor, or maybe instead of getting 7 hours of sleep, you got 5, you get 1 or 2, don't trade. But, 4 to 5 times a year I sit down and I'm like, nope, not today. Okay. And that wasn't the case today. So we can kind of rule that out. So the next one were the trades poor? Okay. As I go back and look at them, one was a good setup. It was a very good setup, just didn't work. Another one was actually, as I looked at it, a little bit questionable. So maybe that ties into maybe my mental state wasn't as great as it needed to be. Okay. And the first one was the market not conducive to my trading. It sure as hell was not today, right? So I would tend to put about 80% of this on the market and about 20% on me, okay? And yes, I realize that sounds like I'm making excuses, and I'm not. Those aren't excuses, those are reasons. Okay, now if I sit down tomorrow and the markets are conducive to my trading and I make 5 trades, they're all horrible trades, then I know that I'm not where I need to be, right? So this is all part of a process, guys, of holding yourselves accountable in your trading, of being honest with yourself, because guys, I would have zero problem stating on this stream for posterity if I just say, you know what, my mental state was crap and I pushed through and traded anyway and I got what I deserved. Okay, thankfully that didn't happen. Thankfully it was just markets not conducive to my trading, and you know what, that's okay. I look forward for an opportunity. I'm not gonna sit down tomorrow saying I have to get this money back, right? We think of revenge trading as being intraday or immediately after a losing trade. Revenge trading can happen the next day, a week down the line, a month down the line. So for me, it's just going to be sitting down and we don't hope for trades to go well, but there's nothing wrong with hoping for many opportunities to trade. So hopefully tomorrow will give me a lot more opportunities to trade. Hopefully it will be a little better and more volatile day, and hopefully I get some setups. And then once I get in those, the hopium stops, right? And we can kind of go from there. So guys, so that's just kind of, again, how I handle losing days. I ask myself 3 questions. Number 1, was the market conducive to my trading? Number 2, did I make poor trades? And number 3, what was my mental state? Okay. All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead now and get into the trader mailbag. And I'm going to start in the YouTube chat, guys, because I haven't, I admit I didn't have the chat pulled up at first. So I want to make sure I am, let's see, any questions here? definitely a couple of cuss words to get out of the way. That's right, drawdown. Hey, listen, close your door and curse up a storm if that's what you need to do sometimes. Just, don't listen. The joke is the first step of becoming a trader is to find yourself a good drywall repairman. And I'm privileged. I haven't ever punched a hole in the drywall, although some days not for lack of wanting, right? But, again, have an outlet. Like, what do you need to do to blow off steam, right? Like, there was a guy that I worked at the last stop. He was just, one of those, like, hit the bag, kind of guys at the end of the day. Good day, bad day. He'd do his little UFC thing on his bag and just, get a good workout for 20, 30 minutes, blow off some steam. I know a guy who, like I talked about a minute ago, just some days just get in the car and drive for a little while. Now, last time I talked to him was 5 years ago. Gas prices were a lot different, but I guess if you're doing well in your trading, you're not as concerned with that as if you're consistently losing money. But monitor your mental health, monitor your stress level, understand when there's a time issue that you need to step away, and we can kind of go from there. All right, so let me catch up here. Okay, well, I do have a couple of questions that were in the actual mailbag, at least email bag, that I want to get to here to kind of close us out today. So Julian asks, which Blue Sky account would you get? Okay, well, full disclosure, again, I'm not a Blue Sky employee, but I do obviously do the show and do some work for them. I chose to come on board and do some of this stuff because they have a commitment to educating traders. Obviously, you've got live training every day in the Discord. You've got this show. There's other things that they do. There's some things yet to be announced that I think you guys will be very excited about in the education space. And some groups, guys, just don't give a crap about that. They want you to purchase your accounts. They'll do whatever it takes to get that. They're not interested in necessarily in educating you at that point. And I'm a big, obviously, my trading's my main thing, but trading education is what I do on the side, and I really enjoy it. And it helps that social interaction that you just don't get with trading, right? Trading can be a lonely endeavor, and a Discord channel is not necessarily enough to kind of satisfy some of those social urges that we have. So for me, that's an opportunity to interact with traders, help traders in that. So I don't have a Blue Sky account. If I were to, but let's say tomorrow I woke up and I had $500 to my name. I had all my knowledge. None of my money, it all just disappeared or something, right? Like Bernie Madoff ran off with it, or the crypto boys, right? And so I wake up with $500, but I have my, my internet connection. I've got my trading computer. What would I do? I'd honestly go with the new static account, guys, because I think that most fits my style, and that static account plus the growth plus account, excuse me. And that's where I'd start with, and because it'll give me, again, I talked so much about, when you're in an eval, whatever size it is, that first $500 to $1,000 is just so huge, right? Like in that static, for example, with the $2,000 static drawdown, $4,000 profit, if you make $1,000, right? If you, let's say in your first 5 or 6 trades, you're plus 1,000. Okay, that means you have $3,000 to your drawdown and $3,000 to get into the next stage of the funding process. So that's 1-to-1. At that point, if you have any skills of a trader, you should be able to pass that, right? Even with a cold streak, if you're keeping your position sizes right, you should be able to pass if the market conditions are conducive. So that's I hope that answers your question, Julian. So this question came in a couple of days ago. I think actually last Friday, and it's very conducive to today. And Amir asks, how do you know when you're ready to trade? So I just talked a little bit about that, Amir, but specifically what I do is usually, again, I sit down at my computer about 90 minutes before the market opens. I get up to get a couple of cups of coffee or maybe a light breakfast, depending on how hungry I am. there's a whole process and et cetera, et cetera. But usually about 15 minutes before the market opens, I do about a 5-minute kind of like guided secular meditation type thing. I won't describe the whole thing right now, but then I'll just kind of see where I'm at, and if I'm anxious, if I'm overly anxious, if I'm overly excited, if I'm tired, I will assess whether that's something that I need to kind of step away. What I do most days, if I feel a little anxiety or a little too much excitement or this or that, I'll just really zero in on A-plus trades, right? And I'll tell myself, just go find 2 or 3 really good trades today and don't worry about the rest, right? And then there's, like I said, 4 to 5 days per year where I just say, you know what, I'm not mentally ready for this today. So I get up, I walk away. Some days I'll work on other things, and some days, you know what, I'm it's a mental health day, right? I'm calling in sick to myself, or I'm calling in too well, I guess. So that's the process that I go through to determine. And I encourage you guys to have some sort of process, about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes before the open. Close your eyes for just a minute, take a couple of deep breaths, and just say, am I ready for this today? And if you are, go ahead. If you're not, maybe just reconsider, or even just take, say, you know what, I'm going to sit out the first 30 minutes today and let all these orders clear. Let us get a trend and maybe a counter trend and go from there. Although today you could have waited almost the entire day without any sort of intraday trend, right? So last question is from Carl. For a beginner, what is a good position size for the NQ? Well, Carl, 0 is the right position size in the NQ for a beginner. Now, the MNQ, the micros, for a beginner, I would start with about 3. Okay, 3 micros. And I know there's probably people the other day or on the other side of this rolling their eyes. And, okay, and I'm not. How long you stay at that is up to you. But I'm just speaking for somebody not in the funding process, right? Let's say you have $25,000 of your own money. You open a brokerage account tomorrow, and you've done some homework. You've done a little paper trading. Where should you start? I'd probably start with 2 micros, 2 to 3 micros, right? Just concentrate on making $50 to $75 of profit on the first week, right? And then maybe you look for 100, and then the process of scaling up, guys. I've gone from 2 micros to 3 minis in the NQ, and that process has taken me a few years, right? So I'm very slow to size up. And sure, eventually what I'd like to be, 3 minis is my position size in the NQ now. It's smaller than a lot of people, and that's okay. I'm pretty happy with where I'm at right now. Do I want to get up to 5 maybe by, within the next year? Yeah. Within 5 years, should I be trading 10, 15? Yeah, absolutely. But you have to demonstrate to yourself that you can trade any particular size, right? So as I will scale up a little quicker as I get deeper in my career because I'm confident in my ability to handle that. But every single time that I size up, I have to do a little bit of a mental reset and just understand, okay, yeah, your winners are going to be bigger, assuming the same winning percentage, risk reward, etc. But your losers are going to be bigger too, and so you just have to be able to manage that, right? So hopefully that answers your questions. You guys, you can always ask me any questions in advance for this show. Trader Matt on Discord, and you can just put that in. That's my full username. Discord doesn't have those ridiculous numbers anymore. And you can send me a direct message with any question for the show. You can also email me directly, matt@tiresiastrading.com. That's TIRESIAS trading.com. So I hope that helps. I do want to catch up on the chat before we end this here. Let's see. In 150K static account, I made $1,000 on a few days, but then gave up negative 1,800. How to stop that? Well, that's, again, I think I just kind of went through that process. If you weren't here for the first few minutes, in terms of evaluating losing days. So did you make poor trades, right? Were they not your setups? If they weren't your setups, you got to ask yourself why you were trading those. You have to ask yourself, was I in the right mental state to trade today? And if you're somebody who's trying to catch 30, 40, 50 points in the NQ, today was not the day. It's just not the day. Right? So those are the 3 questions. Again, was the market conducive to my trading? Were my trades according to plan? Were they good trades? And was I in the right mental state to trade? And I think if you ask yourself those questions and try to evaluate where you're at with that. How do you trade the 3 minis? Do you start with 1 and add? No, I just go. Well, let me rephrase it. I very rarely scale into trades. I mostly go in full size. So I don't double down on trades. I don't average down on trades. Occasionally in VWAP based trades, I'll scale into possession 1, 2, 3 over a couple of minutes, but mostly I'm fully into the position. How to stop over trading? Just made 20 losing buy NQ trades in a row. That's Rich. That's actually impressive. Like law of averages to make 20 trades in a row. There's 20 losing trades in a row. I'm not so sure that's even more impressive than 20 winning trades in a row. But boy, you've got to cut down. I mean, there's no, if that was just today, you need to drop down to 3 to 5 trades a day. That's it. And that I say that, of course, without knowing your style and everything else that you do. But that's just a good opportunity there. Let's see. Define your approach appropriate risk. And if you lose 2 to 3 trades in a row, stop for the day or take a timeout. So yeah, actually, if you're responding to the gentleman up there, Jabo, if my first 2 trades of the day were losers like they were today, I go on a 30-minute timeout. Right. And regardless of the circumstances, right? Because that does a couple of things. When I know that I have that rule, it means I'm only going to look for really good trades, because I know if I screw up the first 2, or not if I screw them up, they can be good trades, right? And they just don't work out. That will tell me either the market's not conducive to my trading or I'm not making good trading decisions. So I go on a 30-minute timeout. And actually after today, I watched the markets for a bit and I never really got back into it. I'd prefer to just sort of regroup for tomorrow than try to make back any of that stuff, because that's where my mental state was. I wanted to make that back, right? I was not concerned about making a good trade. I was concerned about getting the money I lost back, and that's not the right mindset. So I just didn't trade, because I knew I would be out there probably looking for, C+ trades rather than my, B+ to A- trades that are sort of my sweet spot. Very few A+ trades out there. So that's kind of how I go about it. But yeah, that's good advice there, Jabo. 2 losses consecutive and I'm done. No excuses. Yeah, I mean, if you find yourself hitting... Now, listen, if I hit that rule a lot, I'd probably look to reevaluate it, but I don't. I mean, it's happened, I think, 3 times this year. So it's, usually one of my first 2 trades is either a winner or at least, something in the break-even range, right? And then I give myself permission to go ahead at that point, so... All right, guys, so I'm just going to say this as we wrap up the show today, because we're a little past time. Stay tuned to this show and stay tuned to the Blue Sky social media, YouTube page, Discord for the next few days. We've got some really exciting things coming down the pipe that I will let those guys announce when they believe it's the appropriate time. But we've got some fun things coming, so I'm really looking forward. As always, guys, there's always the opportunity for flash sales and flash giveaways during the show. We don't have any for you today, but I would stay tuned. I would definitely stay tuned. So for those of you that make Beyond the Bell part of your day-to-day routine, I really, truly appreciate it. Thanks for everyone who emailed questions. I usually consolidate the questions because I always get a couple that are similar, but you feel free to reach out at any time, especially for those of you that watch this show on demand later tonight. Thank you very much for making this part of your trading routine. Have a great rest of your day, everybody, and I will see you tomorrow for another edition of Beyond the Bell. Good night.